Hey gaming fans! So today I'm going to be looking at a Rokket deck that I've been kind of tinkering with for a little while. This is not your conventional Rokket deck. This is not going to be like the one you see everybody else playing. This is kind of like my own little version of it. And I try to focus on like drawing a lot. So let's get to the deck and I'll kind of explain my choices. So some of these are pretty standard in every Rokket deck. So 3 Rokket Synchron. It's your tuner of the deck. It's level 1, and it brings back a level 5 or higher dark monster from your graveyard, which is cool because then you can go into like a lot of plays from that. You can like link up if you need to. You can go into a synchro. But it does have this. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except for dark monsters. So you got to keep that in mind. But yeah, like 3 I think is pretty common, or 2 or 3 I think I've seen in a lot of people's builds. The next one, again, another common addition to this deck, Rokket Tracer, your other tuner. This guy's amazing. I love this card. This is basically like they came up with a really good card to complement the whole theme of the Rockets. And that is when they're destroyed, you get something in return. This one actually can destroy a face-up card you control and special summon any Rokket from your deck, except itself, which is cool. So you could destroy something you don't need, you could destroy another Rokket to get off its effect, or you could destroy itself, which is mostly what I end up doing in this deck, especially on like a turn 1 play. This one is, well, it's really just an 1800 beater. It does have effect, which if a link monster's effect targets it, you can send 1 card on the field to the graveyard. So that could be pretty handy. I'm still experimenting in this build on how often I go into link summoning. So I don't know. I know that this deck is designed really to do a lot of link summoning. And he's an 1800 beat stick, so pretty good. The second one is also a beat stick, Silver Rokket Dragon. I really have these in there just to have the extra Rockets in the deck, because these guys can, only special summon other Rockets. So you need to have a good variety of Rockets. And pretty much these Rockets, when they die, they replace themselves with another Rokket at the end of the turn. So it's pretty cool if they die by battle or being destroyed. So that's it for the regular Rokket lineup. I do play some more, but they're more of the tribute style, like Exploder Rokket Dragon. This one, it's a level 7, so you can't, if it's turn 1, you're kind of stuck with it. But I do have ways to deal with that, which I will get to. This is the card I usually go into, depending on what my hand is, with the Rokket Tracer. So it's either going to be him or it's going to be the Synchron. So depending on how my hand is settling. And this one, it's not a Rokket, but it works with Rockets, and that's the Router Dragon. So I play 3 of those ones. And these are pretty cool. They're like a Foolish Burial in a sense. Like if they get sent to the graveyard, only instead of sending it to the grave, it adds it to your hand essentially. So when this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a Rokket monster from your deck to your hand, which would probably be, depending on what you need, it'd probably be either your Tracer or your Rokket Synchron. And I think this is pretty common, lineup for a Rokket deck. But I also threw in Dark Arm Dragons, because, it's a dark deck, it's dragons. It's a level 7, which is important because of Rokket Synchron. If I need to, I could use his effect, and then if I have to go into a synchro, I could sync away with him. Same with Router, they're level 7s, and Explode a Rokket Dragon. So there is some level 7s, and there is a card in here to deal with that. And then the last monster line part of the lineup is Tragodia. I needed something that, if it's in my hand, and I don't have anything on the field because I constantly blow up my own cards, this can come out and save the day. Also, because I'm focusing on trying to draw a lot of cards in this deck, my hand can get pretty big, so hopefully when if I do summon a Tragodia, that it's really big. So that's pretty much the monster lineup right there. So a lot of it is pretty standard. I don't play any of the other ones right now, the Rockets. So let's move on to the spells. Again, another standard, quick launch. This card's amazing too. Another on point card, better than Reinforcements of the Army in my opinion, for warriors. This actually special summons right from the deck to the field. Only problem is you cannot attack with it, and it gets destroyed during the end phase. There's some advantages to that. I mean, you could just, it's a quick play, so you can set it, and during your opponent's turn, if you really want to, you can summon it and then watch it die and then get the effect of the rocket monster. Or you can just use it as a synchro, link summon, whatever. So, really good card, really makes the deck work. Definite must 3 of. Then I got like a typical Monster Reborn. I think a lot of people just always play that card. There's no reason not to. Even if you don't play monsters in your deck, you can still play Monster Reborn because it could take your opponent's monsters. This is another one on point. World Legacy Guard Dragon. This one summons a level 4 or lower dragon from your graveyard. Or it adds it to your hand if you need it in your hand. And then once per turn, you can target one dragon monster you control, move that monster in your main monster zone. So basically it just moves monsters around if you need to. I don't really use the secondary effect. It's more like the Reborn effect I end up using. Then I'm using 3 Return of the Dragon Lords because I do like those level 7 dragons in the deck. The Abzorouters and the other Rocket Dragon. Also, the other effect of this thing is that if it's in the graveyard, if a dragon monster you control be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from the graveyard instead. So you can keep your dragons on the field a little bit longer. Really cool effect. So even if this is in your hand and you discard it, and you never use its effect, it still is useful. And one Boot Sector launch. Originally I had 2 in this deck, and I had to make room for draw cards and stuff. So right now I'm just sticking with 1. I don't know. I might play around with that because I have the other field spell, Dragon Ravine, which is like the pretty much the Foolish Burial of the deck, and of course Foolish Burial because Foolish Burial. You need to be able to send stuff to the graveyard. So if you get this in your opening hand, Foolish Burial or the Ravine, then you just send the Abzorouter. Well, you discard a card, so you might have to discard for the Ravine. You might need to discard, so you can discard, say, one of these cards that activates in the graveyard if you need it. You know, depending on what's in your hand, too. You might want to send another dragon. Or Foolish Burial, you just send the Abzorouter dragon, and now all of a sudden now you got a level 7 target in the graveyard, and you can search out your Rokket Synchron. So a lot of good combos in this deck. Let's get on to the draw power. This is a card I don't see people playing at all. At least I've never seen a build yet, and that's Squib Draw. And you target a rocket monster you control, destroy it, and if you do draw 2 cards, you can only activate once per turn. Now that kind of sucks, so you can only activate 1 per turn, but I mean it's a quick play, so you can set it and then activate it on your opponent's turn. So if you do have 2 of them, you activate the one on your turn, and then on your opponent's turn, you can activate it on whatever other one you have. And it destroys the rocket, which means that rocket will hopefully get its effect off at the end of turn. And the part that makes this deck draw more is I put in 3 supply squads. So my hope is that I draw a supply squad and a squib draw. And, you know, if you pull out a rocket and you squib draw it to destroy it, you're going to draw 2 cards. You're going to draw 1 off of the supply squad, and you're going to get a replacement monster. So you're getting a like +3, +4 advantage. And depending on how many supply squads you have out, if you have 2, because these are once per turn, but it doesn't say you can only use supply squad once per turn. It just says once per turn, which is each card. So if you have 2 or 3 out, you draw more cards. The rest of the draw power is the Allure of Darkness. Again, draw 2 cards, banish the dark. Now, I've been playing around with this concept, and, you know, I don't know. There's certain monsters you might not want to banish. Depending on your field position, your hand, you might want to just banish a Tragodia if you don't think you'll need it. Or if you have extra Absolrouters or something in your hand, banish that. But this really gets the deck started. And then for the final one is Sacred Sword of the Seven Stars. The reason why I play so many level 7s in this deck. Even Tragodia, I guess, could technically become a level 7 with his level modification. The thing I wanted to keep this in is this works with hand or side of the field. So, you know, Allure of Darkness is only hand, so you have to banish from your hand. This you can banish from the field, so if you get one of those Rokket dragons out on the field, or Tragodia, or Dark Arm Dragon, and you just want to draw cards, you could still banish to draw the cards. You might not want to, depending on the situation you're in. Of course, I don't have anything else like, you know, Mystical Space Typhoons or anything. And I've been playing around with different, you know, ratios of the draw power. But this seems to be going pretty well in a lot of my test hands. And so this is pretty much the deck. I mean, it really just tries to draw a crap load of cards and deal with the situation with, you know, your Link summoning or your XYZ plays or, you know, synchros, whatever, depending on what you need to pull out. So far for the extra deck, I'm still working on this one. Still trying to come up with a concept, you know, for which cards I'd use, but I'm playing the pretty typical lineup of the Hieratic Seal, of the Heavenly Spheres. This is a pretty common one. You usually pull this out, and then you get these two guys, the Guard Dragon Pisty, Guard Dragon Elfie, and you kind of set it up like this formation. I don't know. I'm still new to the Link summoning mechanics. I'm waiting for Master Rule 5 to come out, so I don't have to worry about this too much, really. And but you know, this is your typical lineup. So, you know, I threw in a Booster Dragon, Triple Burst, a lot of this stuff that I've seen a lot of people playing. The Boral Lord. I don't have the Boral Sword one. That's the more expensive one. I just have the one that came with the structure decks, the Rokket structure deck. I mean, this is a budget deck, very budget. And, you know, I'm just throwing some synchros that kind of work. You know, they're level 8 Dragon, Dark. That way you don't have to worry about those restrictions, because there is cards that say you cannot summon any other, you know, kind of monster unless it's a Dark or a Dragon and stuff. So I got 2 Void Ogre Dragons. I thought this is kind of funny, though, because it's a deck that tries to draw. And Void Ogre wants you to not have a hand. So the way I look at it is, say your draw power is not working for you. Maybe you don't get the cards you need. Maybe you do run out of your hand. Now you got a backup plan. You got your Void Ogre Dragon. Otherwise, you could pull out one of the other, you know, this is Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend. There's so many different ones you could use. And of course, there's the XYZ play, XZs. So I threw in these right now. I don't know. I'll probably change the lineup of the extra deck. This is just the Queen Dragon, Jin. 2 level 4 monsters. Dragons you control cannot be destroyed by battle except this person, and once per turn you can attach a material. Target a level 5 or higher dragon monster in your graveyard and special summon it. You know, there's all that kind of stuff. And then there's this Dark Rebellion XYZ dragon. He's basically, you detach 2 materials from him, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, its attack becomes half its current attack. And, you know, it's really kind of boring. But there's a lot of other options out there I think I would go with. But like I said, this is a work in progress like all my other decks. I just want to throw this one out there, see what you think. There's a lot of cards in here that I didn't put in, I know. But I'm just trying to make the deck balanced right now, just to see how it plays, and, you know, just to get some ideas going around. Try and play it just a little bit untraditional, in a sense. Anyways, hope you liked the deck. Let me hear any thoughts or comments or suggestions. Throw it down there, and hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.